What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Taylor Hinton Speaks His Mind, the podcast where me, the number one health and fitness millennial online trainer in the world, gets on here and talks a lot of fitness, nutrition, and mindset stuff. But today, traditionally, as you guys know, on Friday is our Form Friday session. And this is where I share my screen. So if you're a client, you're able to watch this live or on the recording inside the Google Drive. This is also going to be posted onto YouTube afterwards. If anybody wants to go check that out, you can take a look at it at hintonation_coaching. And available, of course, on Apple Podcasts. So for listening only, obviously. But the video is always great. So I encourage you to go check it out on YouTube because that's where I share my screen. And I go into my client community page. I have a few different ones. This one's called Lift and Learn. And the Lift and Learn community page is where all of our clients post their workout videos, whether they're doing a compound exercise or an isolation exercise. They're looking for either form or a better technique, or maybe they just want some help with understanding whether or not they should lift heavier or lighter, get better depth, tempo, all of those things. We factor all that stuff in, and we take a look and give our clients that feedback so that they can always get better and better and improve on their fitness and have more confidence in the gym. So that's what I'm going to do. I also believe, if I'm doing this whole setup thing right, that this is live on Facebook at the same time. I believe it's recording. So if you're watching on Instagram and you're just looking at my face, but you want to see what I'm looking at and giving my clients feedback on, go onto Facebook and look me up, Taylor Hinton, and you should, I hope, be able to find the live going on there as well. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my community page first as per usual, and then I'm going to share my screen and show you guys exactly what I am looking at the same time too, okay? Let's go ahead and do this. Sharing my screen. Presentation? No. I gotta get this going properly. Screen, Lift and Learn, there we go. All right, here we are. You guys can see it now, Lift and Learn community. Let's scroll. So 20 hours ago, we got Sarah Mean. She's always getting better and better. And her, by the way, like I got to shout out to Sarah right now because she's been going through it for sure. Like at home, personal life, she's got a lot of shit going on. And like everybody else, it's December. We got Christmas coming up in a couple weeks. Everyone's stressed about bills and presents and finances and stuff. Unfortunately, that's the nature of it. But despite all of that, she's perfect on her tracking with her calories and her macros. She's perfect on her steps. She's not missed a workout in the last 30 days. And I'm super, super proud of her. And her results show. I mean, you execute well, it shows. You can have a lot of stuff going on in your personal life. And I know there's some clients that are dealing with it other than Sarah. I work with 60 people myself. And there's multiple people who are going through shit. And I empathize with you. I really do. I want you to feel good all the time. Life and the human experience just isn't like that. And if you're one of my clients, or maybe you're not one of my clients, listen to this, and you feel bad, you know, you're down on yourself or you're feeling sorry for yourself because things aren't really going your way. It could be with work or family, or, you know, your kid ignored you and I said, I love you, and you dropped him off at school last week and it's still on your mind, whatever. Like those things are real, and I understand that will impact your emotion, but it absolutely should not impact your execution. That's the thing, like, that you're going to hear from me over and over and over again. And you don't have to like me or the things that I say, but you do have to understand that what I'm saying is going to get you to where you want to be long term. And also understand that, like, despite how you feel right now, pushing through, having perseverance, and doing hard things is what's building resilience and proof long term, personal proof that you can do hard things when times get hard. And if you can do that, you ultimately are going to feel and look better. Because here's the thing, like, I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. When you look good, you feel good. When you're and like that comes down to confidence. It's not necessarily about what other people think of how you look, but if you think you look good and you like the way that you look, you're going to have incredible confidence. Just had a conversation with another one of my clients. I know I'm going a bit of a sidebar, but like I hope that I can help out with habits and mindset on these calls too every now and then. And had a call with a client, and she immediately started by breaking down just because she's going through so much shit, and she's struggling with the mental capacity of like tracking food, and everybody has a different thing that they're dealing with, But over the last 6 months, she's lost 30 pounds. She went, or actually 37. She went from 215 pounds down to now 182 or something, like whatever the 37 pound mark is. She's down to like the low 180s, and like objectively she could, and probably you could argue should lose more body fat, but she's getting compliments from people at work, and people are starting to ask her like what is she doing and asking for tips and stuff, and she feels more confident than she has in the last 20 years. And fuck me if that's not like gonna help improve everything else in your life. You know, if you feel confident because you like the way that you look, then you're going to feel better automatically just from that alone. On top of that, you're getting compliments from other people. You feel better. Okay, cool, right? On top of that, you have more confidence at work. You're executing at a higher level. You're getting praise from bosses. You're getting more opportunities. Maybe if you're single, if you're single right now and you're trying to find a partner or you want to have a partner, taking time for yourself, working on yourself, not just for the physical component of looking physically attractive, but it's an attractive quality in an individual, is seeing somebody else work really hard and say no to certain things and put themselves first and put their goals first. Put the thing like delayed gratification is an attractive quality. And honestly, that's one of the biggest things that attracted me to Angela. Like, obviously, she's super sexy, has an amazing ass. And I was attracted to that initially. But the more I got to know her, the more I started to like really grow to respect her and appreciate her hard work and dedication to her health and her fitness. And that's really important to me. And that's what's led to, 8 years of an amazing relationship. We just had our first year anniversary. We got married last year. Like, I know that it may sound or feel shallow to just be like, yo, just, or like, like not lacking empathy for me to be like, shut the fuck up about your personal problems and work on your fitness. But I say it out of pure love. Because despite how you're feeling right now, feeling sorry for yourself, crawling up in a ball on the couch, eating like shit and not moving your body is only going to make you feel worse. I know right now you feel like, oh, I need this. This is comforting. This is going to make me feel better. But realistically, like, it's only going to lead to bad habits because it is a bad habit itself. It's leading to more proof that you can't do hard things when things get hard. And inevitably, life is going to get hard again. So what are you going to do when that happens? If you're the person who perseveres and sticks to it long term, focuses on your fitness, you're going to have more proof, more belief, self-confidence that you can push through. You're going to have less shitty times, and when those shitty times do come, they're not going to hurt as hard. So get your fucking work done. Get your workouts done. Track your food. I don't care if you want to or not. Whatever that plan is for you. And that other client that I mentioned who's like dealing with her tracking thing, her and I decided we're not actually going to be tracking food for the next 30 days because she doesn't care to lose any more weight. And it's the holiday season. She wants to chill. She's so happy with how she looks and feels. Like, then cool, like, let's get into maintenance for a little bit and enjoy what that looks like. Let's see how you feel mentally about not tracking, because she was concerned about that. So let's practice. Let's try it out. Whatever the plan is, follow the fucking plan. Stick with it. Stay committed, because you're going to feel better long term. Let's get into Form Friday. Sarah Mean, she's asking for some form on a few different lifts. We got her deadlift to get started. First thing right out of the gates here, Sarah, you look like you're not really engaging your core much when you're starting this lift. You're bending down, getting in a good position to start. That's good. I wish that the video, like, look at, just as a little heads up for filming stuff, I've learned this. I'm a content creator, so I'm always looking at like video angles and stuff like this. And you guys don't need to care so much, but just take a look before, and I do this every time when I'm setting up to film myself in the gym. Take a look at like what is actually in frame. Looking at your video here, Sarah, 50% of your screen is the ceiling. Okay. So when you stand up all the way to the top, like, imagine yourself when you see yourself on the screen. Oh, I had to crack my neck. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that felt amazing. When you stand up, like, are you going to reach, is your head going to reach the very top of the screen? No. Right, let's take a look at your first lift. The top of your head is maybe like midway through the frame, right? And then the top half of the entire frame is just the ceiling tiles. So just position your camera down a little bit. It just helps so much with being able to see how everything's moving. I would love to be able to see this barbell and see where it is in relation to your shins. This bar is too far in front of your body. I can tell because of your arm angle and where your shins are, okay? The bar is intersecting with your knees when your knees are bent and your knees are right over top of your toes. So this means that the bar is directly over top of your toes. I want the bar to be directly over top of the middle of your foot or right over the top of your ankles. Because watch what happens when you lift. When you lift that bar, we can see the bar path. If we were to imagine that bar has like a little line that it's drawing on the screen, it's moving sideways, left and right. It's moving back and forth across the screen. We want that bar to move straight up and straight down. And because you're starting with that bar too far in front of you, when you lift the weight up, it's immediately going to swing left across the screen. That imaginary line that it's drawing is going to swing towards your body and then back out in front of you again with just how gravity's pulling that weight around. So start off by pulling that bar closer to your body. It's not terrible. And honestly, it looks like it's improving with each rep. Each rep is looking better and better and better. The one thing I would say for you, Sarah, is just like push yourself to like challenge yourself mentally to lift heavier weights, right? Because it looks like it's just 25 pounds each side. I can't tell with the angle of the video. I can't tell if you have another plate on there or not. But if you don't, if you just have 25 pounds on each side, Sarah, you've been using that weight for a year now. Like you can lift heavier than that. Let's go ahead and lift heavier. Grab, even if you can't get all the reps, even if you're not sure if you can get all of it, fuck it. Let's try. You're never gonna know until you try it. So let's throw on a 45 each side, see how many reps you can get. I think you're gonna be really impressed with yourself. Good tempo, good technique. I think it's overall pretty good. But you want to get better results. You want to get stronger, build your glutes, have bigger, stronger leg muscles. Got to lift heavier weights. Okay, so looking at the weight now, we see it from the front view. You do have another plate on there. That's good. It looks like it's a smaller plate. Let's see here. Can I zoom in? Thank you, computer. It looks like it's a little bit smaller than that 25. I imagine it's either a 10 or a 5 or a 15. If it was 15, even if it was 15, that's 25 and 15 is what, everybody? 40? 40, 80 plus a 45-pound bar is 125. Strip that shit off. Go 140. Go 135. That's a 45-pound each side. Okay, do it. 135 each side for sure. Let's see the speed of these reps. So let's take a look. Here's how we can also determine, everybody, whether we're lifting heavy enough weight. And I can tell right now your feet are a little bit too wide because look how far your arms have to go outside. See where your shoulder is in relation to your wrist. It's at a bit of an angle. We want your arm angle to be directly 90 degrees with the barbell. Okay, so completely perpendicular with the bar. The bar is perfectly flat horizontally. We want your arm to intersect perfectly flat vertically so that it makes a 90-degree angle. Your hands are too wide, and your hands have to be wider because your legs are too wide. So if you bring your feet in a little bit, that'll allow you to bring your arms in a little bit, and now your arms are going to be straight up and down at a perfect 180 degrees. Okay, just let's see how your hands are a little bit too wide there. That's what I mean. And now what I was going to say before is let's take a look at the speed of your first rep versus the speed of your last rep. Okay, nice and quick. First rep. That's 2. That's 3. The technique looks good. Like your form looks good. From everything that I can see right now, nothing for us to complain about. Okay, I think that's 4 or 5. 6. 6 reps. Your last rep looked just as fast as your first rep. Let's watch this. So that's the first one. That's the last one, right? Second to last one. The first and the last rep are the exact same. They look identical. That means that rep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 served zero purpose because they weren't challenging. Because even the last rep looked just as fast as the first one. The last rep, everybody, by all measures, should be significantly harder than the first rep. It should feel and look like you can't do another rep after that last one. So if you can, after you've completed set 1 of 6 reps, and you're resting and you're sitting there getting ready for your next one, you need to load heavier weight on the bar because otherwise these are like warm-up reps. These are warm-up sets. Each one of these sets is just kind of getting some blood flow in there, but it's not really stimulating the tissue enough to elicit growth. Okay? And to do that, it needs to be heavy and hard, and you need to feel like you can't do another rep on the last one. So heavier weights is the next step for you, Sarah. Good tempo, good technique, good foot position. Hip thrust looks good. Bar the your mid back is right on the bench, so you're in a good position with your back too. This all looks very good. This does look like it's more challenging than your deadlift was, so that's good. We got a lot of reps, man. You're feeling a crazy burn after that one, I bet. It looks good. Again, same kind of question. Can we lift heavier? Romanian deadlift looks good. Your form looks good, Sarah. You know, we've reviewed your deadlift, Romanian deadlift, your hip thrust. over and over and over again, and your technique is looking just as good as it was, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. I don't think there's any need for us to send videos. Like, I don't want to discourage you from sending videos. I want you to send your videos, obviously. But I want you, if you're going to send, when you're sending videos from now on, here's your new barrier of entry I'm going to go ahead and place on you, Sarah. You need to pick up weights you haven't touched yet before you send another video. So these right here, you got, looks like a 35 or a 40 maybe. It's hard to tell. But this is too light for you. We should go to 50 in each hand, 60 in each hand. And you might be thinking, damn, Taylor, that's crazy. No, it's not. That's the minimum barrier of entry to getting improved levels of fitness. Let's take a look at your next one here. Feeling a bit more confident in my form, really trying to get the angle when I push up to have the bar under the chin at top and down by my sternum at the bottom. Not sure if you can see, but I think that it's a bit better. I know we reviewed your bench press last week, and that was one of the pieces of feedback that I gave you, so thank you for sending another one. Yep, and that all looks good. Down to the sternum, pressing up over the chin. It's not quite exactly over the chin. Some reps look better than others, but I'm not going to nitpick. This looks pretty damn good. The only thing that we need to do maybe is like your elbows look a little bit shaky when you're pressing up, so squeeze with your pinkies really hard. When you squeeze with your pinkies really hard, then the rest of your fingers are going to squeeze hard too. It's just a neurological trick to help us squeeze the bar entirely, because if we just think of squeeze the bar, oftentimes our ring finger and pinky finger, they kind of just are inactive. So if we're thinking about squeezing those two fingers more, the other ones will automatically squeeze, because these are like our primary fingers that we use for virtually everything we do: middle finger, index finger, thumb. If you focus on the ring finger and the pinky, everything else is going to squeeze harder. And why do we care to squeeze the bar harder? Well, if you're squeezing the bar harder, then all of your other muscles that are connected, so into your forearms, your biceps, triceps, shoulders, chest, everything else, you're getting better activation in all of those muscle fibers by doing that. So squeeze and focus squeezing on your pinkies. That looks good. Okay, there should be one of each of the exercises in here. I think the hip thrusts and the RDLs, I got 2 sets filmed. Second set of the RDLs, I just tried to get more range of motion because I realized it wasn't that great in my first set. Jess, Coster's videos. I really appreciate you sending videos on a regular basis now, Jess, because the biggest thing for you, and I just posted Jess's testimonial on my Instagram if you haven't seen it, but you definitely should. She's been in the program now for, it'll be 2 years in January, so a couple more weeks until then, and she's signed up for another year and she's had 5+ different trainers online and in person over the years. She started training 10 years ago, and she's still getting value out of this program. So I think it says a lot to what we do with our clients here, for one. 2, Jess, well, Sarah too, we already addressed it, but Jess struggles with knowing how hard to push herself. And so I've been telling her, yo, I need you to send these videos because you're so fucking consistent and we deserve so much better results. So what's the problem? And I identified that her biggest issue right now is that she's just simply not lifting heavy enough most of the time. And if she did, she would get so much better results. So I like this. What I like here is your tempo. I like the amount of weight that you have on the bar. That looks good. I like that this is the hip thrust for everybody listening. I like that you're only going halfway down. So unlike a lot of different exercises, like most exercises benefit primarily from the deepest end range of the motion being the stretch phase. Hip thrust, the biggest benefit you're getting out of the hip thrust, and most tricep exercises also, to be honest, is the contracted position. So in the hip thrust, that's when you are thrusting your hips up to the very top and you're squeezing your glutes really tight. That's where you're going to get the biggest benefit from it. So I told Sarah, and a lot of clients, they see this in their notes now, only go halfway down, because I don't need you to waste your energy going all the way down to elicit a deeper stretch when the stretch isn't going to benefit you as much as the contraction. Let's focus our energy and effort in the squeeze at the top. So we're only going halfway down and then back up. So you're following those instructions really good. The one thing that I don't like is that you're doing a really big articulation of your hips when you're doing this. So at the top, this looks really good, right? You're squeezing your hips, you're anteriorly tilting your pelvis, so you're tilting your pelvis forward so that you can squeeze your glutes at the top. But on the way down, you extend your lower back. So watch here, Sarah, Jess. Sorry, I keep saying Sarah. Watch here at the bottom. You extend your lower back, right? Kind of like this is like what we would want to do with our lower back when we're doing a Romanian deadlift, because we get a big stretch in the hamstrings doing that. But there's no benefit to doing this in the hip thrust. What I want you to do is keep your pelvis forward like you are at the top here. And then all I want you to do is drop the weight down while keeping your pelvis in this position. Okay? So it should be that your whole back just kind of like tilts down a little bit and then tilts back up, rather than you like rotating your hips down and then rotating your hips up, because right now you're getting a ton of spinal flexion and extension. So your back is extending, right? Your back is, let me show, how can I do this with my hand? Your back is like doing this and then flattening back out again. Okay. This big extension. Imagine if your butt was kind of where my knuckles are, right down here, like on the bottom, right here. This is where your butt is. You're doing this by tilting your pelvis back and then back up. What I want you to do is keep your pelvis in the same spot. I want you to keep your back in the same flat position and then rotate down this way. So keeping your hips extended, anterior pelvic tilt, lower the weight with anterior pelvic tilt, drive your heels into the floor and lift your hips up as high as you can for a big contraction. That would be what I want you to do differently. And then we got the ab wheel rollout. This is such an interesting exercise because if you're fit and you do abs and you're lean, then you probably can do 10 reps of ab wheel rollouts. But if you haven't actually done this exercise before, it will fucking kill you. The next day, probably 3 days, you're sore as shit. Jess, oh my God. Jess could barely like get out of bed, could hardly lift herself up because her abs were so sore. But once you do it for a couple weeks in a row, then you kind of get back to it. The problem that you have here, Sarah, is that, fuck me, why do I keep doing that? I'm so sorry. It's kind of getting stupid now. On the way forward, good job. But down here, similarly to the hip thrust, we actually want to tilt our pelvis forward. So you have a big dip in your low back. You're extending your low back and sticking your butt up. This tells me that your abs are very relaxed. What I want you to do is squeeze your butt, not your gut. Well, yes, your gut too. It's an abs exercise. Squeeze your butt, tilt your pelvis forward so that your low back is flat in a perfect flat straight line. And then as you roll back up, what you're doing is you're sitting back. Watch your butt. Your butt sits all the way back to your heels, keeping your back relatively flat, and your abs are not tightening up. You're still getting ab work doing this. You're still getting ab work doing this, but not nearly to the degree. If you basically just like, see how your hips come all the way back? You're like totally resting. Like from here to here is all rest for your abs because your back's extended. You have to tilt your pelvis forward and keep your lower back really flat. If anything, I want you to round your lower back. Okay? And keep your lower back rounded as much as you can, even as you get out into this flattened out position. And then as you come up, your butt should only go as far back as where your knees are. Your butt should be in line with your knees at the top. So right here is about as far back as we want your butt to go. And now you need to keep your lower back rounded and then bring the wheel to your knees with a rounded back. That's crunching the abs down. But you're not doing that. You're just sitting your hips back. Your abs are totally relaxed and flat and they're not contracted down here. So it's still that same kind of idea as like if you were to imagine doing a sit-up, you're laying flat on your back, and then you have to curl your spine up to squeeze your abs. You're just not doing that curling up, okay? So no more sitting the hips way back to your heels with a flat back up here. There's no tension. You need to curl your whole back at the top, and then you're only getting tension basically from right here to here, and then no tension here again. Rest. There we go again. Okay? Makes sense? Hopefully it does. Thank you. Jess, once again. Okay, there should be one of each exercise in here. I think the hip thrust and the RDLs, I got 2 sets. Okay, wait, hold on a sec. Okay, yeah. So we got hip thrust and ab wheel rollout there. Ab wheel rollout, hip thrust again from a different angle. So this is a different. With more weight. Good. It looks like you got 275 on the bar. 2 45-pound plates and a 25 each side. I'm not going to go over this again. I already told you this one. Good intensity, good effort, good tempo. Stop rocking your hips down. Keep your hips up in the anterior uh, pelvic tilt. Okay. Now the lovely glute bridge abduction. She's got a band around her waist. She's got a dumbbell on her waist. She's lying on her back, and she's going to drive her heels into the floor. I think your feet are too close to your butt. Get your feet out to close to where your toes are, and that's going to create more tension in your glutes. It's going to take some tension off of your quads because I bet you're feeling this in the top of your thigh with your feet so close. So get your feet out in front of you a little bit. And then the goal here for this one for Jess is to just open up her knees as wide as she can. The trick with this one, everybody, is that once you get your hips up, you have to keep your hips up the entire time for this to work. And when you get your hips up with the dumbbell and then you're focusing on opening your knees, naturally you're going to stop thinking about your hips being where they need to be, and your hips will slightly drop down, and that's removing a lot of the tension. The whole key with this is keeping your hips up as high as you possibly can. Okay? So Jess, yeah, you're doing a better job of it now, but you're doing a good job. I like it. Looks good. There's a couple reps where it looked like your hips were starting to drop down a little bit. Just make sure you're mentally cueing to like keep hips up, hips up, hips up the whole time. And that'll look a lot better. Okay, we got the sumo Romanian deadlift. She looks like she's got 185 on the bar, solid weight. And what was your thing here that you said? The second set of RDLs, I tried to get more range of motion because I realized that it wasn't great on my first set. So it's not that you lack range of motion, and honestly when it comes to Romanian deadlift there isn't really like an optimal range of motion. The range of motion is purely going to be predicated on how much flexibility you have in your hamstrings. If your hamstrings are really tight, you won't be able to get that low, but it doesn't matter because once you lower down to as far as your hamstrings will allow you, at which point your hamstrings are super super tight, and that's perfect. That's what we're aiming for. So whether you can only go down 2 inches or you can go down like 6 feet, it doesn't really matter where the range of motion is as long as you have a flat lower back and you're feeling the tension in your hamstrings on the way down. So the problem for you, Jess, is that you do not have a flat lower back. At the bottom of this exercise, your back is rounded like a motherfucker, okay? You start off pretty good. Like you're right here, looks great. But then as you get lower and lower, watch your back. It starts to round significantly at the bottom. And I know you're feeling it in your glutes, but you're definitely feeling this in your low back way more than you should. So if anything, this is probably the one exercise that you need to try to go a little bit lower because to keep it simple, it's just that you're rounding in your low back too much. So I would definitely keep the 45 pounds on there and maybe take it down to like 15. So strip that 25 off and put 10 and 5 at each side. And then do this again, but keep your butt back. Like keep extending your low back as much as you can. You really, really want to arch your back as much as you can in that exercise. That's where you're going to get the most benefit out of it. Jess has her straps on, everybody. Guess what? She would not be able to do this weight without using her straps. And her forearms would be the limiting factor if you are trying to grow your lower body, ladies, men too, but you are not using straps and you're trying to go for a PR, you're trying to lift heavy weights, your forearms are always going to give out before your legs. So you need to have wrist wraps, or straps, I should say. Okay, so this is the same exercise. We're just sitting in a different position. That looked way better. I would be totally cool with that. I would be totally cool with that too. Let's see what else we got here. That's a great rep again. That's 3 reps, really good quality. Starting to break down at 4, but still acceptable. And 5. So, Jess, this was perfect. That's ideal. That's really, really good. I am imagining that whole set of 5 right there was your first set, and that second one where I was criticizing your back was maybe your second set. So I don't want you to take the weight down. I'd actually like you to keep the weight now that you've shown me that you can do a full set with good technique. What I'd rather you do is probably take another minute resting before you get to that second set. because you're just fatigued by the time you get to that second set, and that's why your back's rounding so much. Give yourself another minute rest, and you'll probably have a way better technique and still be able to lift the same amount of weight. That's going to net you way better results. Okay, it's okay to take a little bit extra rest, guys. I give you rest periods based on what I think is needed minimum and what your time frame allows for you in the gym. For Jess, her time frame is like less than 30 minutes. So I've had to get really creative with her workouts. But Jess, if you can take another minute in between those sets and keep the same weight, you're going to get way better results. I gave her feedback already on her incline press and her triceps. I'm going to go over this quickly for everybody else so you guys can see it too. Biggest feedback I had on her tricep extension was that she's got her elbows way out in front of her body. And to do a tricep extension, like, this is a technique, and I've used this before, and it does feel good. But what I've found and what the research tells us is that when your elbows, when your tricep, when your arm is in line with your back, you're able to get a better connection. So rather than like walking super far away from the machine and then dipping your body forward a lot, stand a lot closer to the machine, stand a little bit more upright, keep your arm in line with your back, and then keep your elbows in that exact position. So she does a good job. Actually, I don't think she does. I think I have to criticize her on this too. Right here is where she should stop, right? She's at full elbow extension here, big squeeze, but watch what happens. Her elbow starts to swing backwards towards her hips, and that means that she's really just working her lats at this point. It's almost like she's doing a tricep push down, and then the second half of the exercise, she's doing a straight arm lat pull down. Watch this elbow. See how she swings it back a little bit? It's it's very subtle, especially at the beginning. But over time, as she continues on, she really keeps pulling those elbows back behind her towards her hips. And that's getting a lot of that muscle that's right beside her armpit, her lats. So she's turning it into a bit of a back exercise when she's doing it, and that's going to fatigue her a little bit more. She's probably, when she's doing it the way that I'm asking her to, standing a lot closer, basically where she's standing right now at the end of this video, and keeping her body more upright and her elbows in line with her back. She's probably going to feel weaker and will need to lower the weight down to like 80 or 90 or something. Go ahead and try for 100 and see how it feels. But that's likely what's going to be the case. You'll get a better contraction and you won't be working your back on your tricep exercise. And then the feedback that I gave her on this one was that she just needs to get a little bit deeper into that range of motion. She needs to pull those weights down into her armpit. It's not bad. And a lot of people would look at this and be like, this is fine. Yeah, it's fine. But if she got deeper into this, like I said, in most exercises, chest being one of the number one muscle groups, will benefit mostly from the deep stretch. So get as deep of a motherfucking stretch as your joints will allow without injury, and you're going to get better results with the same amount of weight. If she didn't increase her weight over the next 6 weeks, but she was able to get lower into this movement and have a small, slight pause at the very bottom, she will grow more muscle in her pecs, okay? Then the other thing here is just that, like, I find it very interesting you get your feet on the bench. I don't know if this is just like a comfort thing. It's definitely less stable, though. Like, you're not as stable as if you had your feet on the ground and you were driving your feet into the ground. So you could for sure lift heavier weight, Jess, if you had your feet down and you were planting your feet and they weren't just like chilling on the floor, but you were driving your feet, particularly your heels, down into the ground. You're going to be way more stable and you're going to be more powerful because now you're getting some leg drive. And there's nothing wrong with that. It allows you to lift heavier weights in your arms. So if you can do that, I mean, shit, it's just going to elicit better growth and muscle growth. You know, and it's not going to take you any more time. It's the same time frame, same time that's being used. It's just a more efficient, effective way to do it. Kaylin, first time doing good mornings. Love that you sent this over. Thank you so much, Kaylin. Great legs. Look at her freaking legs to get started, everybody. All muscled up. Let's take a look. And this is pretty good. Not too shabby at all. I would ask you to really emphasize that lower back extension. Stick your butt out, okay? Arch your back as much as you can and keep that arch in your back as you lower. Once you lose the arch, that's when you stop. You can't go any lower. Once your back starts to round and you lose the arch, you can feel it when you're going down. As you're lowering, you'll feel that arch in your back start to loosen up. That's your stopping point. So otherwise this looks really good. This bar is on your neck though, literally on your spine. Like it's sitting on the vertebrae. That's very uncomfortable. Bring the bar down onto your traps more, onto the back of your shoulder. It's a lot more meat back there, a lot more tissue, and that's going to feel a lot better than putting it directly on your neck. You'll eventually not be able to lift more weight. Like as you keep, if you don't make any changes to this technique and you keep that bar on your neck, eventually you're going to be like, ow, this hurts my neck a lot. I can't lift heavier. No, you just got to bring that bar down a little bit more onto the back of your shoulders. But really good tempo. I love the pause at the bottom. You're really paying attention to the tempo, which is great. Nice, slow, eccentric, deep stretch, pausing at the bottom, and the thrust on the top. She's not just like standing up or rolling her spine back up. She is keeping her back nice and flat and thrusting her hips forward to stand up. All of that looks good. You just need to have a little bit more arch in the back, and you're going to feel this more in your hamstrings rather than in your low back, okay? Okay, Aubrey. Incline Smith machine bench press kind of feels this one more on my shoulders. Should I move the bench forward or backward to get more chest? Well, let's take a look. I imagine if you're feeling it more in your shoulders, you probably need to move the bench forward more. Backwards more. Because if it's too far forward, then that means that bar is going to be rising up towards your chin. Your elbows have to be higher. It's more tension and pressure on your shoulder. We don't want that. We want it more on your triceps or on your chest. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So let's take a look. It's funny that you're feeling this more in your shoulders because you actually have the bar in a really good position. I don't think you need to move it forward or back. If anything, I think you probably need to move it forward. When I'm doing the incline bench, I actually like the bar. When I'm lowering that bar, I like the bar to actually intersect with my mid or upper part of my chest. But I'm not feeling it in my shoulders because of this one thing, Aubrey. It's because I'm tucking my elbows down. Your elbows are flared out at 90 degrees away from your body. Take a look at that. If you were to tuck your elbows forward a little bit more, it's going to protect your shoulder joint and put more tension on your chest rather than your shoulder. The higher that your elbows come up, if your elbows were to come up towards your ears and they're elevated above where your hand is, now you have immense pressure on your shoulder. That's going to lead to an injury. If you tuck those elbows down so they're beneath your elbow, underneath, if your elbows are on this side of the bar rather than this side of the bar, you're going to feel it more in your chest and less in your shoulders. You're going to create more tension doing this too. So right now, this tells me that you're kind of like letting that bar is just like sinking into your chest, and your muscles are all relaxed because your elbows are flared out. But if you tuck your elbows forward and squeeze your pinkies, doing that, that's going to create a lot more tension in your chest. Now all those muscles are activated, and we want to keep them in that position. So simple solution, squeeze the bar hard and get your elbows on this side of the bar, on the front part of the bar, not on the back side of the bar. And you'll feel this more in your chest. And honestly, if there is a shift for you to make, like I said, this bench needs to come forward like 1 inch, in my humble opinion. So do we have any more videos here? Jasmine says a week ago. Let's take a look and see if this is something that we already covered. We did. We covered this last week. We are done for Lift and Learn, everybody. Hope that you guys got a ton of value out of this. If you're a client, post your biggest takeaways in the Hinton Nation community. If you are listening to this on Apple Podcast, hit subscribe. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then give me a comment. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was there. I'd love to hear from you guys too. Your value, your input is extremely valuable to me. Helps me be a better coach. And the more input that I get from you guys, the better I can make this program each and every single day. Have an amazing rest of your day. Take care, and I will see you guys on Mindset Monday.